Yeah, when that fight happened, he's on his back and he throws that first
Crazy.
punch. And I go, okay, this is going to be a transition. I look at Jacare, and, you know, if you go back and watch the fight, he's actually rocked when that first happened. We'll step a little bit closer. And by the time he throws the next 3 punches and I'm stepping in to try and stop it, you know, Jacare is out. And they'll concentrate on the fighter that wins. But, you know, one, you don't want a fighter to come back conscious and take you down and start to do something.
Right, that does happen.
And if there's a language barrier, you know, so I'm sitting there telling Jacare, the fight's over. You know, I say, stop, so there's no misunderstanding about what's going on.
Mixed martial arts is a brutal and vicious sport, and as Mark Smith already said himself, its history witnessed a lot of cases when the referee, as a person who officiates the fight, has to interfere at the right time and prevent a dangerous situation that threatens the life and health of an athlete. But there are episodes when wayward guys continue to fight in spite of the commands, which makes the referees do everything possible to stop it. Or the situations when, after losing consciousness, fighters don't have time to recover, which leads to their attempt of attacking the referee himself. And these are the cases we're going to talk about today. Please don't forget about the likes, comments with forwards, and subscribe to the channel. Here we go. We would like to begin our compilation with a case that happened rather recently. In the end of October 2019, the second best league put on its 232nd tournament. However, we are interested in one particular bout that opened this event and took place in the prelims between the two Americans, Devin Powell and Marcus Surin. Kevin McDonald was the referee. The fight was not easy for both athletes. They spent 2 complete rounds in the octagon, which ultimately identified the winner. Then everything happened quite spontaneously. Powell took the top position on his opponent and went for the choke. According to the footage, Marcus was hanging in there rather well and even showed the thumbs up. But when the bell rang, Kevin McDonald separated the fighters, after which Surin tried to score a takedown. The referee figured that the fighter went out and stopped the bout, giving the victory to Devin Powell. The next rivalry was not limited to a takedown attempt and almost resulted in a big scandal. On March the 17th of 2017, the MMA world saw the fight at one of the local leagues called Knockout Promotions, or simply COP. 2 beginner fighters clashed in the local octagon. Joseph Nem with a record of 1-2 and Riz Brink, who conversely was on a record of 2-1. As soon as the fight started, the latter seemed to remember urgent things needed to be done at home, which made him go after his opponent straight out of the gate. He checked the chin of Joseph with a fast and precise front kick and went for the finish. Overall, the fighter needed only 11 seconds from the beginning of the bout to stop his opponent via TKO. The referee immediately reacted to Nem's shutdown and stopped the fight, as it should be according to the rules. But the guy protested this decision, or he simply was so lost in space that he couldn't even realize his defeat, because in the very next sequence he began to go after the referee. At first, he took him down, then took his back and almost executed the choke. Luckily, his teammates got there in time and saved the referee from losing his consciousness. A similar case happened in January of 2020 at one of the tournaments of the well-known promotion 1FC Championship. Back then in Thailand, the Chinese fighter Ma Jianwen faced the Mongchinshekta Zoltsekseg. All in all, the fight lasted for about a minute. After a couple of devastating exchanges, Jiawen's chin gave up and the guy got knocked out. The referee stepped in at the right time and stopped the fight, but got into a trap himself. The trap of a disoriented Chinese was a sudden, even from himself, leg submission attempt. Poor referee frantically screamed at the fighter for a couple of seconds and exhaled with relief only after other staff came over. By the way, there were no sanctions on Ma Jiawen, as they understood that he attacked the referee after being knocked out and did it unintentionally. Next, we have a fight in the local Russian promotion. At the end of August 2018, Crimea Rush tournament featured a fight between a young and yet undefeated fighter in the face of Carlos Saput and much more experienced veteran Renat Leotifov. Despite the status of a clear underdog, Saput acted as if he already knew the outcome of this clash, because on that night, youth got the upper hand. Already at the very beginning, Carlo did a barely noticeable fake on the takedown attempt, but instead threw a heavy right hook. It was all over in a matter of seconds. At first, a nominal finish, and then the referee Armen Ananyan waves the fight off. Saput celebrates his 8th consecutive victory, while Renat Liatifov actively tries to wrestle with Ananyan in the background. But being an experienced person, the referee closed the guillotine and waited for the teammates of the concussed fighter. Now we will talk about a scandal that happened in 2010 inside the world's best league. UFC 113 featured a contenders fight in welterweight between Josh Koscheck and Paul Daley. The guys fought for the opportunity to face the champion of that time in the legendary Georges St. Pierre. Throughout almost all 3 rounds, Koscheck used his advantage in wrestling and continuously smothered Daley on the ground. Such an approach of constant control made Paul lose his cool, who ultimately couldn't oppose his opponent with anything. As a result, right after the bell, he came at Josh and decided to punch him, to which Dan Miragliotta immediately reacted, forcefully pulled Daley by his neck and restrained an enraged fighter. By the way, after that incident, Paul was released from the UFC and his career quickly began to decline. Next, let's move forward 4 years and overview the case that initially wasn't supposed to stand out among others, but eventually got spread on the internet and even broke the news headlines. On April the 26th, the local tournament Fight UK Last Man Standing featured a fight of 2 prospects, St. Kitts native Matthias Frederick and the Brit Ahmad Aswad. Even though the guys were not fighting in the main card, their case is what the crowd remembered the most. With literally 40 seconds left in the round, Frederick stunned his opponent with a heavy attack and knocked him down. As he felt the blood, he went after him to finish the job and score a stoppage. The referee Leon Roberts registered Matthias' win, but the latter was not in a hurry to stop, to which Roberts had to react with force and even take the back to execute a choke. By that moment, even Aswad managed to recover, and like a true professional, the referee stood up to check on him. The next bout of today features the street legend Kimbo Slice. In 2007, at the times when the hype around him was only taking off, Kevin Ferguson came out to fight the former boxing champion named Ray Mercer. As said in the description to this video, this is what happens when a professional boxer steps into the ring with a trained mixed martial artist. And that's true. Even though by that time Slice had only been training MMA for a few months, it was more than enough to stop Mercer already at the very beginning. Overall, he needed only 70 seconds to bulldoze Ray with a vicious onslaught and earn a convincing victory. But all of that happened in rather controversial circumstances. When fighters found themselves on the ground, Kimbo executed a guillotine and forced the tap. The referee Dan Miragliotta immediately started to shout at Slice to let go of the choke, but he didn't listen, so he had to push the fighter's head to end the submission. Next case will tell us about an incident where a regular UFC referee, Marc Goddard, showed true professionalism and incredible cold-bloodedness in spite of the situation. At the end of June 2020, he officiated the Fight at Warriors 12 tournament in the United Arab Emirates. The main protagonists of the scene were Ahmed Al-Damaki and the Uzbekistani Bogdan Kirilenko. To everybody's surprise, that fight didn't even last a round. Already at the 4th minute, Kirilenko gave up his back and found himself in a situation where the only way out was to surrender or go to sleep. He chose the first option, provoking the referee to call for Ahmed to unclench his hands. The fighter did not want to let go, which made Goddard resort to using force. But it wasn't the end. Al-Damaki didn't like the fact that he couldn't get a hold of his opponent's neck and began to push, grab the t-shirt and openly conflict with the referee. Marc Goddard calmly evaluated the situation and disqualified Ahmed, due to which the victory was assigned to a guy from Uzbekistan. Even though the referee's job is a very responsible one and requires constant focus, sometimes they fail to perform actions that call for immediate interference. In September of 2017, the local tournament Agrelin 19 featured a fight between the Austrian Willi Ott and the representative from Montenegro, Nihad Nasufovic. At some point of the fight, Nasufovic, together with his opponent, found themselves on the ground. Not wasting any time, he got behind his back and grabbed his neck. Willi Ott decided to surrender by quickly drumming on the canvas. It seemed like the referee didn't see that and did nothing. The fighter from Montenegro unclenched his hands himself and let the Austrian go, who got so angry that he pushed the referee and even punched him. After that, he began to shout all sorts of kind words and even threw his mouthpiece at him. Yeah, even such things can happen in our beloved sport. And to conclude our compilation today, we will show you the case which ultimately turned into a full-blown brawl. In 2011, at the local event of URCC, the crowd saw a rivalry between Razi Jabari and Honorio Benario. Despite the UFC caught-on-camera type of quality, in principle, one can figure out what's happening. As you can see, Benario got done with his opponent already in the first round. Jabari was simply lying on his back defensive and did not try to answer back. As he should, the referee stepped in and stopped the fighter in red. The fight was officially over. The guys stood to the sides to hear the announcement, and Honorio's hand was eventually raised. Nothing extraordinary it seemed, but suddenly Razi decided to say something to the referee when it was all over, and quarrel with him. He began to express his discontent and then even tried to push and punch him, but the referee was not the timid type and went for an attack himself. It caused a mess. The fighter's teammates, security, and everybody who felt like it jumped into action. Luckily, everything ended on a calm note, the guys were separated and the conflict topped off. Bonus spot. How could we leave you without a bonus spot? In this video, everything starts as usual. The referee explains the main rules to the fighters and then signals the beginning of the bout. Fighters brawled gloriously for a while, and at a certain moment, the referee tries to interfere to separate them, but fighters don't react. Then the referee makes the Knight's move and shuts down both athletes. P.S. If somebody didn't get that, it was a staged video, at least because of the operator, director, and camera crew. Leave your opinion in the comments below. Which of the aforementioned cases of interactions with the referee did you remember the most and why? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the new videos, and hit the like button if you enjoyed this one. See you soon.